Hello, everyone. Welcome to Engaging Campus Resources. My name is Jill Eves. I'm an 8-year Air Force veteran myself, and I currently am the LSUS Veterans Resource Center coordinator. And with me today is Dr. Terrell Odom. And as you can hear, we are both teleworking with children in the background and so forth. And we just want to welcome you to our session, and Dr. Terrell is going to lead off.
Thank you so much, Jill, and thanks to SVA for putting this phenomenal program together. This is not my first national conference. I like to say I come from an older version of the Matrix that predates SVA, Service to School, Warrior Scholar Project, and some of those other great programs out there to support student veterans and their families while they're inside of higher education. But it's an honor and a privilege to be here today to discuss engaging campus resources with the entire group. So again, a little bit about myself. My name is Terrell Odom. You can call me Doc for short. Former Navy corpsman, served alongside the United States Marine Corps on board ships, as well as serving in hospitals. I currently lead the Office for Military Affiliated Communities at the University of Chicago. I've been working in higher education, specifically with veterans and their families for about the past 17 years now. So I've been fighting this good fight for quite some time. And I'm always love coming to these types of events to hear new nuances from you guys about what more we can do to support the group. So today I would like to share a PowerPoint presentation with you guys to talk a little bit more about engaging campus resources. So don't laugh at my picture. You'll see my Navy picture there, me and my mother, the bottom left. There's a picture of the USS Baton, the last amphibious assault ship that I was assigned to. And of course, those other two pictures are not me there, but you'll see the little logo there with the US Navy / Devil Dock sign for those of us who served alongside the United States Marine Corps. When we think about engaging campus resources, I have a couple of questions that I would love for you guys to consider. Number one, what is a resource? I want you to think about that. What do our military affiliated students need at our particular institutions? How do you get the campus to buy in to whatever you're selling or pitching to them for the military affiliated population? And how do you keep or enhance that particular resource? You have to think beyond simply gaining resources from your institution, but how you can best utilize those particular resources. How many of us have a veteran center on campus? How many of us have research functions on campus? And how many of us as veteran coordinators, administrators, et cetera, actually have a seat at the table, or let's say the decision-making table for your institution when you're making policy or programming that pertains directly to the military affiliated community at your institutions? So I'm going to talk a little bit about the veterans transition from the military, which I know we've all encountered at some point, whether it be the older version of the transition GPS, simply called TAP, or the new transition GPS program, whether it be the Army's version of Soldier for Life, the Navy and Marine Corps' version of the TAP program. And again, I don't know if we have any COSIs or airmen on the call, but all those different transition programs that are housed within the Department of Defense. So we're not going to talk specifically about the workforce or the small business ownership, but we are going to speak directly to the part that pertains to higher education, as this is an event that's geared for student veterans of America. So just ask yourself, who felt prepared for higher education directly leaving military service? Who had a situation, whether you were single, no children, no ailments or service-connected disabilities, that allowed you to enter higher education directly from military service? And who knew what they wanted to major in? I know there's tons of people say, I know what I wanted, right? My daughter's the same way until she got into some of those classes and said, hey, this is not for me. But who else knew where they wanted to attend? Now I want you to think about the gaps or deficiencies that kept you or would have kept you from being successful inside of higher education. Some of those same gaps pertain to our military affiliated students that are currently transitioning out of military service, or some of us who are already currently inside of higher education. So you have to always take into consideration, all of the gaps and appreciate the gaps that are there, but take those into consideration when you're trying to think what types of resources would be most meaningful for your student veterans or military affiliated persons at your institutions. Talking a little bit more about our campus partners, right? So I'm going to speak from in terms of University of Chicago, which is where I currently work. So many campuses have some of the same resources. Everybody has a registrar. Everybody has a financial aid office. Typically, everybody has, health and wellness center or student health and wellness center that we're calling them now. Housing and residence life, legal, safety, spirituality, etc. But I want you to think about the top transitional challenges that veterans face as they're transitioning out of military service. This is not mine. This is directly from a presentation I pulled it from in NASPA that I went to last year. So navigating the VA programs, benefits, and services. I've heard over time and said over time that a person looking at the VA and all of its webs, sometimes it's like watching paint dry, and things change so fast where you don't typically understand them. Finding a job. Many of us leave military service with obligations, such as families. You have to work while you also attend school. Financial struggles. Not everybody gets directly out of the military and falls directly into a job. Depression. Again, I myself suffer from depression from my transition from military service, which made things a little bit harder for me to be able to work and raise two daughters as I was transitioning out of military service. Getting socialized to civilian culture. I'll pitch you a little fun at the Marine Corps and say the Marines just don't socialize with people anyway, but getting socialized to the civilian culture as you're transitioning from a frame that's so structured to now you're going to the store and you see things that are just so loose with the civilian structure. Skills translation, I know, is a real big one. There's tons of programs out here that attempts to help you to translate those military skills. But how do you translate, I was a tanker, into now I want to be a business person? How do you translate, I was a Navy corpsman, and now I want to be an IT person? How do you translate those skills? Contradictory information from different sources. It happens all the time. You'll have one person saying, yes, you can do this, or no, you can't. And then you spend your time trying to find the right person or who's going to give you the answer that you want to hear. Again, we talked about disability, understanding GI Bill benefits. I myself have been through several different benefits, now with the new Forever GI Bill, all the way back to the Montgomery 30. Think about some of those individuals who are reserve or guard and they qualify for more than one particular benefit. And if they apply for the lesser of the two and nobody notifies them saying, hey, you would actually get more, that could become an issue for those transitioning service members or veterans. And also employment preparation. How can I best prepare myself to be able to support my family? Jill, did you want to add into here? I think you're on mute, Jill.
Okay, that helps if I unmute. One of the biggest things I think about the campus partners and getting connected is it's the same as when you're in the military. Know your chain of command. Know who is in the leadership positions on your campus. So for LSUS, we actually have a student activities advisor who that is the first line of contact for all student organizations, all activities really on campus. Go to them. They will have a rules and regulations that the organizations fall under. And once you see those, a lot of times they will also have connecting like student government. Our student government actually has a policy that they, when asked and approached, if approved, will give donation to student organizations for activities. So knowing really who your chain of command is and what the scope of their work is kind of your first step in getting connected.
Thank you, Jill. And sorry about that. My screen was real small, so I had to make that part big so I could see everybody. I'm going to go on to here. So when I first started at the University of Chicago, I've been here now for 2 years, a little bit over 2 years. We did not have a program for veterans outside of a student group at our business school, which is for graduate programs. Again, we did not have any undergraduate student veterans, which was very shocking. But fortunately, through our partnership with the Posse Foundation, we actually took in 14 undergraduate student veterans that first year, and then 20 the second year. And our college is making efforts to bring in 50 this year. So until they tell us to stop, we're going to continue to keep growing that undergraduate student veteran population. But our graduate programs have most of our military affiliated students. When I first took this job, I was asked, what are the first things that you want to implement here at the University of Chicago? And my response in the interview was, I don't know. And I'm humble enough to tell you that I don't know. As you move or transition from school, from undergrad to graduate programs, or just like you're changing duty stations, the demographics are very different. So I did not know what the students at the University of Chicago would need compared to my previous employer, which was City College of Chicago. The demographics were totally different. So a resource that I found on campus was our diversity and inclusion studio. So I worked with the diversity and inclusion studio, and we actually interviewed military affiliated students from across the university to understand what their needs were. What happens if I just throw a bunch of programming together and nobody shows up? Then I look like, hey, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. So I reached directly out to the students themselves, and we went through a human-centered design to figure out how best the university can support them. Through that process, we synthesized, brainstormed, analyzed. It was over several months where we went through all of this, the interviews, reviewing data and compiling these stories. And again, based on the needs of the population, not my own personal beliefs of what those students needed. This helped us to better understand what was needed for the students and to identify more resources internally and externally for the military affiliated community at the University of Chicago. What we found was that, like many other students, traditional or non-traditional, is that the needs of the military affiliated population at the University of Chicago fell into these 5 facets of wellness. Of course, intellectual, right? We're all here to learn, whatever institution that you're at. So it fell into the intellectual facet, engaging in critical thinking, expanding your knowledge and imparting your knowledge to others. That's the point of going to school. On the second piece, the financial. I talked a little bit earlier about being able to make more informed decisions. And with the new post 9/11 GI Bill, we know that, it's the most comprehensive, but people, schedule their life based off of what types of income that they're going to have coming in. The social aspect. So feeling understood, building relationships, and experiencing a sense of belonging. So yes, it's great to have, an SVA chapter on your campus. It's great to have student organizations on your campus. But are there also other organizations or resources on campus that fit with another part of your identity? The occupational. Everybody intends to find that dream career once they're done with their higher education experience. So finding fulfillment, contributing meaningfully, and continue to expand your skills and strength. And then, of course, the emotional piece, understanding your own feelings, expressions, emotions in a constructive way, and managing stress and mental health. And I'll harp on stress and mental health a lot because, as we know, we come from this environment where, it's go, 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 go. And then you come to this environment where things are a little bit more lax and people don't understand your drive. My supervisor asks me all the time, where do you find this energy from to do all these things that you do? And I said, well, this has been instilled in me over a military career where I do not slow down. And for any Marines on the call, if you've got a great corpsman, that we tend to do what we're supposed to do to make it happen. Jill, did you want to chime in on this one?
Unmute. So exactly. And there's been a ton of research that says if you can get connected, within the first 6 months, I believe it's anywhere from 20 to 30% more likely to graduate and progress versus those who don't get connected. If you can get connected, even if it's non-military affiliated with some group on campus, you're more likely to have a better experience both academically and socially than you would normally. It's we're all humans and we all need that social interaction. Granted, sometimes we don't, but you'll have a better experience when you get connected. And also those connections are good networking. If you never know, somebody that's in your fraternity may be in a job that you're looking to go in for. So it's all about using the resources, be it people or programs.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jill. So here, I'm gonna go to the next slide. So again, I've been doing this a while. So I've actually done research for the Department of Defense, American Legion, etc. But in my doctoral research, I actually took a look at the Transition GPS program. And in the Transition GPS program, you know, I constructed, or the research, I should say, constructed what I dubbed as the VELC model, the Veterans Education Lifecycle Model. Many of us know the military lifecycle model, where things are supposed to happen at certain points in your career within the military that help you to either advance in the military or to help you transition into one of those three areas: workforce, small business entrepreneurship, or higher education, once you leave military service. So taking that and coupling with the 5 facets of wellness that we identified from with the diversity and inclusion studio, I came up with this model where we get early initiation to career goals. So that's phase 1. So that's pretty much, you know, identifying career goals, conducting a SWOT analysis, and apply for VA educational benefits. This typically happens with organizations, again, like Service to School and Warrior Scholar Project. Phase 2, where students at the University of Chicago, they meet with me, and I sit down and I do a needs assessment to figure out exactly what types of services would be most beneficial for you as you transition into the University of Chicago. And again, as a corpsman, I'm not shy in asking questions. I make sure I throw it out and tell them first. I'm not probing in your personal life, you know, just to be probing. I'm asking these tough questions because my wheels are turning and I'm trying to identify resources for you to help you be successful while you're here at the university. So phase 3, we do a warm handoff to those services, internal and external. So you're meeting with academic services, whether it be financial aid, academic advising, the school certifying official. I am one of the 2 school certifying officials for the university. You know, whether you're looking at recreation, housing for your family, etc. Phase 4 would be acclimation or early introduction to the university culture, which would be putting you in contact with a peer advisor, another student veteran or military affiliated student at the university, the student groups, to make sure that you have that proper handoff to learn about the campus environment from a student perspective and not from my perspective. Phase 5 would be the classroom. So assigning you to a community group. So again, that's a list of people and services that identify, intervene, and implement strategies for the success of the student, whether that be disability services, should you need it, whether it be student health and wellness, should you need it, diversity and inclusion studio, should you need it, etc. And then, of course, completion, early access for you to understand how to transition out of the university. So this model addresses you moving into the university, through the university, and out of the university, not just to recruit student veterans to get you to that institution. Then you kind of loop them all in with the other support services for the traditional students, and thinking that that's going to suffice for the students who are inside of that particular program. What we found, again, is that this actually overlaps. If you look over to the left here, it actually overlaps with the wellness model that was set up for the traditional student. Again, veterans need a little 2 steps less or 2 facets less than what the traditional student would actually receive. So taking that information, you know, again, what we aim to do, and what I've been doing, I should say, at the University of Chicago, is to increase awareness, support, resources, engagement, partnerships, and programming. So as you're looking to identify more campus resources, or your first set of campus resources, I want you to keep these other areas in mind. They all overlap. So if you're just trying to gather resources, I remember, you know, veterans when I was working at the community college would say, "Hey, just get us coffee." I said, "No, we want more than coffee." Fortunately, we had a culinary school across the street, and many veterans attended the culinary programs, and they would actually bake goods for lunch, for assignments, and they would throw them out once they were done. Not when I found out that they were doing that, I went over and we would have all types of, snacks that we would keep in the Veteran Resource Center. But again, keeping that awareness in mind. So I spent time educating the campus community. So that's the faculty, staff, and administration on the veteran population. When many people at the university thought of a veteran, they automatically thought, oh, that person gets yellow ribbon. That's not how that works. If you have a person in a reserve or guard status, he or she may only get Chapter 1606, and I know 1607 is phasing out, but they may have only gotten $400 per month. That person has more additional needs that we also need to address. When you think about support, again, disability services, student health wellness center. So I've worked with the Disability Service Center and let them know that sometimes working with the VA is like watching paint dry, where we may not be able to get documentations that we need from the VA to provide accommodations to a student in time before classes start. So we've streamlined that process that we can still get those accommodations to that student should they need it. Again, the resources component, the engagement, the partnerships and programming. What we've done at the University of Chicago, and I want to keep in mind, again, those 5 facets. This drives everything that I do at the university, those 5 facets. When I came to university, we had an Army ROTC program. We had an alumni group who had not been active for about 7 years, if I'm not mistaken. And our SVA chapter was not active for the past 5 years. So I restarted the Student Veterans of America chapter at the University of Chicago. Engage the alumni group, and in the past 2 years, we've gone from, I think it was 5 active members to over 80 active members, and we're currently still increasing those numbers of alumni who want to support and engage with current student veterans at the University of Chicago. More military affiliated groups. I spoke about the Booth Armed Forces Group, which was the active group on campus prior to me coming. They do a phenomenal job of assisting veterans with their transition into the Booth School of Business. The business school has a full-time program, an evening weekend program, and an executive program. So there are 3 different armed forces groups for all arms of that particular business school. Our law school veterans, and this one here, the Maroon Veterans Alliance, is a really cool group. It's an undergraduate recognized student organization that are not military affiliated, but their job is to support the military affiliated community. So phenomenal group. Working with the law school veterans, at times it was hard to engage them because they're so busy. Law school it's not easy. So I don't know if there are any lawyers on the call, and I watch all the books that they had and I would laugh at them. I've completed 4 graduate programs and a doctorate, but I still would not wish law school on anyone unless it's something you want to do. So they said, Terrell, we want to engage, but we're so busy. So last year I found a way for them to engage. We created the first pro bono project at the University of Chicago Law School. So with the 100 hours of pro bono that they need to complete for their degree, we now provide a resource to veterans and their families in the city of Chicago. So I'm an accredited veteran service officer. So we're training them up as well to become accredited veteran service officers. And my hope is that once they become lawyers in their respective states, they'll continue to do this as a service free of charge. But we help with VA claims, disability claims, et cetera, from start to finish, not just the appeals process. So taking again a look at those 5 facets, the intellectual, this is something that fits directly with the learning that they're doing. The financial, it saves tons of money for the state and the VA and the family of the veteran who we're servicing. The social aspect, they get an opportunity to learn about some of the needs that veterans have. The occupational, again, it aligns directly with what their future career is going to be, and the emotional aspect of it. For me, I love doing this work. I've been doing it so long. Maybe there's just a corpsman in me, but you grow into these particular roles. Now, keeping with that, I say, well, we need to do more for military families, not just for the veterans. So MASH is a really catchy name. I don't know how old some of us are on this call, but MASH is still one of my favorite shows. This group was actually started by former Army captain who's a first year at our Harris School of Public Policy. So when I first encountered him as he was transitioning into the University of Chicago, and we were going through his paperwork, trying to identify the correct benefits, et cetera, he had so much fire in him. He said, Terrell, I want to do this. I want to do this. I said, well, let me help you do this. And we created MASH, Military Affiliated Students of Harris, where they will be identifying and making policy recommendations directly to Congress as it relates to the military affiliated population, in addition to helping veterans and their family members transition into the public policy school and into civilian life as they make that transition from military life. Keeping with the Army's tradition, so I know the Army has the Family Readiness Group. The Navy and Marine Corps has, I believe that's the same as the Air Force as well, but the Navy has the MWR. Tons of family members are coming here. And for those of us who are married and have families, yeah, you can come and learn at any institution. You can go and work at any institution, but you also have to be part of your family. So how do we engage those family members and ensure that they have or keep a high quality of life while you're learning or working at that institution? We partnered with Blue Star Families, a national non-for-profit, which I believe is the biggest now in that particular space. And we created our Veterans and Family Readiness Program to support those families while the students are there in school, as well as, while the person is there working at the University of Chicago. Prior to COVID, the last event that we actually got a chance to do was we actually went out and packaged food. I want to say it was 40,000 meals for people in need in Asia. And then, of course, I took it a step further. I don't know how many of you guys have dependents. I hate to use that term, but dependents in your institutions. When they see the term veteran, they typically think that does not apply to them. So a lot of the times they may not respond to emails. So I got crafty and I sent an email to all of the parents of the dependents using benefits at the institution, saying, hey, we're looking at, supporting you guys as well. Luckily, all of the parents responded and they emailed all of their scholars saying, hey, reach out to this particular office. Forrest Hayden, who is the son of Major Joseph Jolly Hayden, who died in 2002, helped me to stand up this particular group for the children of U.S. veterans. So they also have a community that they can engage with to help them transition into higher education and again into the civilian life. When we make those transitions or PCSs from duty station to duty station over your career, your family makes that with you. And once most of us take that uniform off, our family becomes our priority. So we also have to support them while we're learning. 2 new groups that will be announced this year. So the SSA Corps, the name will naturally change as the School of Social Service Administration has now been changed to the Crown Family. So we're trying to come up with a crafty name for that particular group, where these student veterans and military affiliated students will be providing mental health services in internship capacity for veterans inside of Cook County, as well as the Grand Brigade, which is a group of not just veterans, but fire, police, first responders, working to improve the quality of life and transition for those entering our Graham Continuous School of Liberal Arts and Professional Education. They have a phenomenal program of threat response management where we're looking at working with state and local governments to creating emergency disaster plans, et cetera. So again, it keeps in line with the 5 facets that you see across the top. Jill, did you want to add into here? You still on mute there, Jill?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Now, this is probably the proudest group that we have at the University of Chicago. When I first came, I had an Army veteran who came to see me from Team River Runner. And he said, Terrell, I can't get access to a pool anywhere in the city of Chicago. Team River Runner is a national non-for-profit that provides veterans and their families with an opportunity to find health, healing, and community through adaptive paddle sports. He said, nobody will allow us to use their pool. I said, well, that's not going to happen here. So we partnered with Team River Runner. And again, this is open not just to the university community, but they bus veterans from the 2 VA hospitals that are here in Chicago, Chicagoland area, the Jesse Brown and the Hines VA. So they come in on Saturdays. Again, this is pre-COVID, and we practice at our pool in Radnor. You'll see the picture there in the middle. You'll see the pictures on the left and right where we actually went out to Lake Michigan to do kayaking. It's always fun times. I would come in on Sundays to do this with this particular group. There's one young man who is an Army veteran, and when I tell you guys this story, it's going to be really tough to believe, but it happened. He is an amputee, and he's 100% blind, and he kayaked the Grand Canyon. Exactly. He's also a kayaking instructor for this particular program. So we still practice this once COVID lifts. Again, this is the program I would say that I'm most proud of because it provides those services to veterans who may have lost their way or maybe in the process of losing their way, to bring them back for us to be able to assist them. Now, thinking about the programming, wrapping and tying all this in together, this is where the meat of your argument comes to your institution about resources. So if you'll take a look at the flyers that we have here, I'm just going to note that these are all programs that I've done at the university just since October of last year. If you look at the flyers, you'll see tons of partners on every single flyer. So if you take a look at the Honor and the Hurt, which is in your bottom left, this is a program that we do to recognize and bring awareness to veterans with service-connected injuries and the impact that it has on those veterans and their families. So I'm not a clinician anymore, that I'm no longer in the military. So you bring the clinicians in, the student disability services, student health and wellness services. Let them speak to how they can support this particular community at the university. So coupled with the veterans who you'll see here, you'll see Zach, who is actually the veteran who started the MASH group, the Military Affiliated Students of Harris. Eric is a first year in the college. Ryan is a Navy veteran. He's not a student there, but he is the director for Project Red Team. And then you'll see John Hojak, who is a second year at our social services school, Crown Family Social Services School. And then Commander Schumacher, a former naval psychologist who is an alumni of the University of Chicago, and he moderated the session with them. Did you have something there, Jill?
Yeah, so the campus resources, they are desperate to help. Mm-hmm. So for us, for example, we have 2 meetings a month. The first meeting is a general meeting for our student veterans. The second one is a professional development. Utilize your campus resources. Career services, they would love to come and do a resume workshop, or contact a local organization in your area and do a lunch and learn type of thing. Granted, most schools are doing Zoom now, but utilize it. Use counseling services. They can teach you mindfulness techniques. There's so many programs on campus that are just dying to be used. Use them, make the most of them.
I couldn't agree with you more. I tell my supervisor all the time, I say, well, I can assemble them. Again, I don't pretend to speak as a psychologist. I don't pretend to speak, as a medical doctor. That's not my role. But I can bring the resources to the population. Looking at the top, you'll see the Black History Month flyer, which we just did this program this month. The Honorable Jesse White is the first African-American 101st Airborne Army to serve as the Illinois Secretary of State, and he's the longest serving person in Secretary of State for the state of Illinois. And of course, my friend Judge Hooks, retired Marine Corps Colonel, who heads up what's called the Veterans Treatment Court. The Veterans Treatment Court is located inside the Cook County Criminal Court system for veterans who are charged with non-violent offenses, where they would go through a probationary program in partnership with the VA. And we provide those wraparound services for them so those veterans can regain their purpose in life, as well as, try to iron out whatever legal issues that they had. In the top left-hand corner, you'll see my colleague, Vicki Sides, and Dr. Benjamin Bowman. I served during the era of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And as a Navy corpsman, I've watched those practices where, a person would be sent to a psychiatric unit with behavior disorders, what they dubbed as, or adjustment disorder, and placed out of the military. Dr. Bowman is openly gay, lives with his husband here in Chicago. He's a recent Pritzker grad and now a resident at the University of Chicago Commerce Children's Hospital. When he was telling me about some of his experiences, I said, Dr. B, we're going to do something on this. And the first opportunity I got, we held the QIA plus in the veteran identity, which was our first. Then you'll see in the middle, speaking with some veterans here in Cook County, many veterans who were charged with nonviolent offenses are being deported from our country. Yeah, I say it again, veterans being deported from the country. So the green card veterans is another group that I work with personally. And they said, Terrell, we need help. So you see here, we actually had the Honorable Senator Tammy Duckworth join us for that discussion to talk about legislation that we can possibly get put in place to stop the deportation of these heroes. Unfortunately, one of those heroes, we just had his services last week. He actually died from cancer in central Mexico, and we had to fight to bring this Marine home so that his daughter could bury him here in the country. Women in boots. Again, we need to bring more awareness to our female veterans. Female veterans are the fastest growing cohort of veterans now, and they need to be recognized for their efforts and their service just as any male would be. And then again, you'll see where we had General Dyer, Brigadier General Dyer, forgive me, who is a lawyer, come in to speak about our Veterans Day program. Again, I don't do Veterans Day event, I do a vet week. And if they would give me 30 days, I would take 30 days to bring more awareness to this particular community. And actually, SVA participated in our Removing Barriers to Access Symposium. So thank you again, Jared and Dr. Abby. Dr. Abby won our trivia game. She's wicked smart. She won our trivia game where she got a gift card. And we brought together elite institutions, top tier institutions, public institutions, community colleges, not-for-profit groups, and Service to School, Word Scholar Project. And we brought them all together into this symposium and said, let's put our heads together and try to figure out what these barriers are and how we can get rid of them for student veterans, military affiliated students entering higher education, regardless of wherever you're choosing to go, regardless of whatever type of program that you're trying to get into. Taking all of this into consideration and thinking about, again, the 5 facets that we spoke about, thinking about the increasing awareness, programming, etc. Now I want you to think about those same questions that I asked you in the beginning. What do you think is a resource? For me, when I teach business classes to students, I ask that question at the beginning of the semester, and I ask them, I say, if you can write me a paper with the fewest amount of words of what you think business is, that person wins a gift card, right? And people will come up with things that may be 10 words. It's everything. Business is everything. A resource is everything. You just don't know how it fits yet, but you have to make sure that you do your research and do your planning to understand how it's going to fit for your community. 2, what do your military affiliated students need? Don't just go throwing pasta against the wall and hoping that it sticks. You have to ensure that the programming that you're doing for them is meaningful and effective and that it fits with their particular needs. 3, how do you get your campus to buy in? You create an engagement of so many partners where it's hard for them to say no. You keep that engagement going. It's kind of like, being in the military, right? We're all gung-ho, regardless of the branch, you're all gung-ho. Keep that energy moving. Make it hard for them to say no when you're going to them for the resources and support for your community. And then how do you enhance your resources? These programs are not one-off. These programs are done annually, every single year now at the University of Chicago. Even the Memorial Day program, which we did not have prior to my coming to the university. I held the first Memorial Day program. Then the last year was naturally virtual because of COVID, but we're going to do it again this year and every year after that. And before I get to this last part, I'll let Jill jump in if she had anything she wanted to add there.
So I just wanted to say and expand upon that. Enhance it by using the tools that are already there. There are so many tools, you don't need to reinvent. You just seek out the information that is already there. You may not know your questions, but if you get connected to your leadership and to your administration, you can find out a whole lot that you may not even have known.
Yep. again, I'm echoing what you're saying. And then the last one, I know this is one that we've added up there, and I asked the question, what have I just given you? What have we just given you? It's a justification, which is what your institutions are going to ask you when you're looking for additional resources or the first set of resources for your military affiliate population. How do you justify your existence? How do you justify this space? How do you justify this money? How do you justify this? I'm just giving you a roadmap to justification for your institutions. And I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen here. And I believe we have some time for questions.
I did want to say, make sure that you have the ability to have some say in the policies. And the best way to do that is to get a military spot or designation on your student government council, because they're the ones who do policy. They're the ones who have a say directly to the leadership. Get your spot on that board so you can have a voice in your university.
It looks like we have a question here, Jill. How do you break down silos to encourage more collaboration among departments such as financial aid, admissions, veterans center, et cetera? That's a good one. That's a very time consuming one as well. The University of Chicago has 13 divisions, including the college. So when I came to the university, I had to break down those silos. And many people don't want you intruding in their process because they believe their processes to be most effective for them. What you can do is get with those siloed areas and understand their processes. The way I explain to them, I'm not here to circumvent your process, but I'm here to understand it and show you and help you how we can actually make this better. So not just better for the division, but better again for the student veterans that are coming to that particular division or as university as a whole. I also manage the memorandum of understandings with the Department of Defense as well as the VA. So I have to interact with these individuals. There should be someone on your campus who manages those memorandums of understanding with the VA and the Department of Defense for tuition assistance. And they have that same access to those different, those siloed areas. And they should be the ones making those recommendations, whether it be to your provost, to your campus president, or to your campus dean about how we can actually, implement policy that's more effective for the community.
One thing that was told to me a long time ago was build your relationship before you build your ask.
Mm-hmm. Different campuses have different levels of support. What do you recommend as a way to get help to create support for veteran, military, and spouse students within campus resources? The dean of students. So I'm not sure if this is a university that has multiple divisions or not. Like each of our divisions has their own dean of students. So again, I've had to interact with every single dean of students. But your dean of students is typically the person, whether it's a he or she, responsible for campus and student life. And part of campus and student life includes housing, includes recreation, includes support such as student health and wellness, disability services, etc. They're the gatekeepers to ensure that you have the support mechanisms in place as the veteran while you're attending that particular institution. So I would definitely recommend that you start there. Now, speaking again from the institutional level, departmental level, and then the personal level of an institution, my office is located within the office of the provost. So I'm not in student services. The provost has a little bit more bandwidth because the provost controls the person, controls the policy for the institution. So it makes it a little bit more welcoming, I should say, as I'm reaching across these different divisions on behalf of the office of the provost versus, talking directly to, as from student services saying, hey, this is what we want. Because most places tend to just couple all of the funds or resources into one pot for student services, whereas the provost's office can make that ask. But the students can, you guys can meet with the deans of students. You can request to meet with, other campus administrators or leaders and gain that support. And as Jill just said, build that relationship, work with them to try to understand how, you can make things better for your veterans on campus.
Also, Go into your diversity and inclusion. We are a diverse group. We have our own culture. You know, I hate to say it this way, but find the why that they should invest in us. We know why, but make them realize why. Give them the reason, give them the tools and the knowledge of why they should care, why they should invest, and what the benefits it would be for them to invest in us as veterans.
So somebody wanted me to explain the dissertation model again. So it's called the VELC model. You can actually look it up in ProQuest as well, but I'll go over it. 6 phases. Again, those phases are intended not just to recruit military affiliated students, but recruit them to an institution, support them while they're there at the institution, and help them to transition out of that particular institution. So moving into, through, and out of higher education. The initiation phase, the intake phase, the services phase, the acclimation to the university culture phase, the acclimation to the classroom environment, and then the completion phase. What are we set to do for you as you transition out of this particular institution? I can share. I believe we shared my email address, but you know, you guys, it's T Tango Oscar Delta Oscar Mike at uchicago.edu. You can email me and I'll be more than happy to send it to you. What are you using for data collection and analysis for events and programming? So we use, just to schedule, we use Wufoo to schedule our programming. But again, when we did the human-centered design, we kept all of that information. And then we also a partnership to the PAVE program. So we now have other access to do continuous assessment throughout the entire time, every single year at any point in time. But again, I gave out my email address. You guys can contact me. I'm humbled again to be here to talk to you all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jill.
Thank you everyone for joining. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Dr. Odom. It was beyond informational, and even I learned something, and I can't wait to do this again and hear more from everybody else. Thank you for joining.